Now, our next guest is one of our favourites and is also the world's most famous psychic medium. John Edward has the uncanny ability to communicate with those who have crossed over to the other side.
He's helped thousands over the last 3 decades, and now he is back in Australia to share his extraordinary gift with us.
It's good to have John Edward back on Sunrise. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good
It's
to
good to
see
be
you
back.
again. Now, you say everybody has intuition.
Yes.
And is a bit psychic.
Yes.
We all of us go, oh, I thought I knew that was happening. How can we harness that?
By paying attention to it. I think probably the most important thing that we are now, like society-wise, everybody's on their devices. If you go to any restaurant all around the world, if you look at a family having dinner, they're not talking, they're devising, right? They're on their devices, they're doing stuff like that. So we're so busy being connected that we have to disconnect in order to connect. And paying attention to what we're thinking, what we're feeling, how do we feel about something, how do we feel about a situation or a person, pay attention to that and, you know, call it common sense, call it whatever you want, but it's fueled by an intuitive sense.
But there's a bit of a difference to sort of realising that, oh, I had a bit of intuition or that came to me in a dream, to what you do,
Right.
which is, you know, you're seeing people on the other side, dead people. Well, you are.
Right, connecting with
Well,
them.
they are. They're dead.
Be a bit compassionate, you know, dead.
I've got dead people.
It's a bit
Anyway,
harsh.
Okay. What is the other side?
So I say this often, I can't tell you what the other side is like because I've not been there. I can only tell you what my connections are. And like, I feel like I'm a reporter reporting back what it is that I see, hear, and feel. So I wouldn't venture to cross the line of saying, well, here's what the other side's like, because that might interfere with somebody else's belief system, and I'm not here for that. I just want to validate life and love exist, that there's a survival of consciousness, and that to me is painting a portrait of energy, and how somebody frames that's up to them.
Yeah. Do you get stressed though when you
Do I
do
get stressed?
yeah, no, when you do shows, because people obviously come along hoping that you will connect them with someone on the other side. It's a pretty big responsibility.
It is. I don't get stressed. Believe it or not, the word would be more frustrated. I would get more frustrated than stressed. Frustration comes in when people come with the expectation of wanting to hear from a person, and then they want to hear a message from that person, almost like they created this expectation, fantasy of what it's going to be like for them. And then the reality of what happens, which is not always what the expectation and the reality don't always meet. So that can be frustrating.
Okay, so a lady on the other side might be saying, tell him he was a no-good so-and-so, I hated his guts for 20 years.
Not quite like that. Not quite like, but more like, you know, you might have a family of 5 or 6 people, and let's say they lost, you know, a grandfather. And the grandfather comes through, and he gives validation about what's taken place since he's passed. And let's say the grandmother's still here. At the end, the grandmother might say something like, well, does he have a message for me? As opposed to recognizing that all the messages are for not just the family, but for whoever's also there to hear it. It's more like, I need him to say something specifically to me. So I always tell people, if you're not ready for a reading, don't go. Like, if you're not ready to allow it to be what it needs to be, don't go.
So what about people who'll be sitting here thinking, you know, people who go into these, your sort of, you know, forums, are probably grieving, they're probably seeking something, they're probably taking a little bit and making it into something. So what you're saying isn't true.
No, what I'm saying is when I do information, when I'm giving information, I actually say to people publicly, I'll say, what I say out loud should sound the same as if I typed it up and handed it to you. Void of emotion, and not trying to endear you to me. So not like, I have a woman here and this woman loves you so much. In that moment, that person's gonna be like, oh. I'm not looking to win people over. I'm looking to give information. And a lot of times people will leave like with the information and no longer being a fan of the person who gave it to them. Me.
Yeah. A lot of skeptics out there who don't believe it.
That's what I mean.
Are you one of them?
No, I went to a medium. After someone in my family died, and I believed it. So I'm one of the.
Well, validation is important.
Yeah.
I think skepticism is actually equally important, and I think critical thinking right now, globally, is really important. So I don't tell people just like, if somebody says, "Oh, I'm a psychic," don't go, "Yay." Kind of sit back and be like, where's the validation in what they're saying?
Yes.
And I think it's really important to listen to what's being said, not anything performed. And that's just me personally.
Yes, I went in with a healthy scepticism because I'm a journalist, and you think this can't possibly be true. But then the things they told me, I couldn't believe it.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
Because then that helps to support what? That your loved one who's passed is still watching over you and still connected to you.
Yeah.
And gives information. And then sometimes there's like sprinkles of the future.
Yeah.
where it's kind of like their way of saying, I see what's coming up for you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Do your kids have the same?
They do. They
Talent?
do. They both have I have a 16-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter, and both are.
Who's an actress, the 12-year-old
She is an actress. Yep. Yeah, they are now. Yep. No, they're highly intuitive, but not to the point that they're using it yet in the way that I use it. They have their own paths. So if that is something that they decide, then great.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
John,
okay.
great to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
I
in again.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, John Edward is touring the country in October and November. You'll find all the dates and ticket info at sunrise.com.au.